Good morning, traders and investors. Thank you for tuning into Pre-Market Prep, the best place each morning to get your overnight news, to get your breaking news, trading ideas, a whole lot of good education. Today is Friday, February 14th, 2025. Happy Valentine's Day. Hope you got a sweetie to snuggle up to. If not, maybe we can find you a good stock to fall in love with, or maybe you just like it a little bit. Today, we're going to talk a whole lot of good stuff here. Stocks near a high end of their recent range. S&P 500 futures down about 9 points, around 61.25. We're going to talk GameStop today. Big move in GameStop last night. Dennis unleashing his thesis on GameStop yesterday on the show just before we close. What do you know? You get a report out of CNBC, I believe it was. Stock moving here today. We're going to go over that. We're going to talk China. President Xi going to hold a symposium related to private business. I think in a couple weeks. Looks like getting Chinese stocks moving here today. In pre-market earnings, we're going to go over Roku, Coinbase, maybe Moderna, maybe Airbnb. Probably going to give a little preview for the China stocks that will be reporting their quarterly results next week. Couple quick heads ups on our econ data for today. Nothing too exciting, but I will give you a little heads up. Retail sales today at 8:30 a.m. Also import, export prices. We're going to jump over and look at the markets in just a sec. But first, let's run that intro, folks.
The volatility right now is really incredible.
Wow, look at that consolidation on the upper right chart.
You know what we've seen this earnings season? Some of these expected moves get even more violent. And this is why I have switched my strategy 10 years ago. And if you're chasing, you're in trouble.
All right, folks, as I said a little bit earlier, S&P 500 futures down a few points here, around 61.25. NASDAQ down about 0.1%. Crude oil up about 0.75%, 76.93 per barrel. Gold flat. Silver up 2.5%. Bitcoin about unchanged, 96,600.5. Dennis, how's your morning going?
Trying to figure out how to share my charts here with you because Christian is away too. So we have Joel gone, Christian gone. So you're stuck with my charts, which actually look pretty good.
I like your charts, Dennis.
Charts.
Yeah,
they're not bad at all. You should be seeing them now.
Yes,
so
I see them, Dennis.
If I've done it right. But again, I'm not
confirm.
a technical genius here, so you should be seeing them now. I'm showing the Moderna move way down and bouncing by.
Let's see what the chat says. Like chat will let us know.
To that too.
Great charts, Denny.
Okay,
there we go. There we go. So
let's start with what? Let's start. Everybody's asking me about it. I got a lot of messages last night. Thank you for the nice messages. A lot of people congratulating me on GME. I didn't take the trade off yet, though, so congratulations are a little bit premature here. But if you did buy GME, I was pitching it yesterday for the simple reason, and again, I'll just recap the thesis, is that we saw the pick with Ryan Cohen and Michael Saylor on the weekend. The stock popped up from like 26 to 28 on that pick. Then, a couple days go by and people forget and started leaking. And I'm like, you know what? I don't think that pick was for no reason. I think that basically Ryan Cohen is telling us that GME is probably going to do something with Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. Lo and behold, last night, CNBC breaks a headline that GME is indeed looking into doing something with Bitcoin. So basically we predicted it perfectly because the writing was on the wall. I mean, it's sometimes just read the ratings. So he's there with Michael Saylor. We've never seen him with Michael Saylor before, probably talking about Bitcoin. So, nothing is imminent here. CNBC is just saying, that they're looking at doing something with Bitcoin, but nothing has been officially announced. Sure. Stock really ripped on this and went from 26.34 close up to 31.60 last night. You can see it right there. I don't know if you can see my little arrow.
Yep.
But you can see on that candle right there. And that was just an overshoot because algos are getting excited. Oh my gosh. Well, there was nothing officially announced. So that's why, it's come back down. So, what do you do now? I'm sticking with it for the simple reason that I think there could be an announcement coming eventually. Then maybe it's something really cool. So my thesis is still intact. The CNBC story just adds to my thesis. So, it's nice to be up 3 points in it. That's a pretty good pop because we were buying at 25.5 there. Or maybe it was 26, so up a couple of points. I can't even remember where I paid. a couple days ago. So, and yesterday. So, congrats to the longs. If you want to book your profits, it's a nice quick 8%. If you booked last night, you got up to 19%, which is pretty crazy. But, again, just sometimes trading the obvious trade. So, it's not like we're looking, and trying to analyze. We just read the writing on the wall, and we were rewarded for that last night. Does it leak it back? Well, if there's no announcement that happens over the course of the next few weeks, it could leak it back.
Few weeks,
just
Dennis.
keep that in mind.
So your time. So I was going to ask you, how long before you start getting a little bit nervous? And you're saying maybe a few weeks. You're saying maybe into March, mid-March.
No, because like I said, I didn't do this with options, so I have a long time to wait. When I originally put this on, I put it on the long-term portfolio, and my thesis was that I think they might do something with Bitcoin. Well, now CNBC agrees with me. CNBC has a lot more sources than PreMarket Prep does. So, there's no reason for me to sell at this point in time. Again, if you're a scalper and you get a quick 8-9%, I won't argue with you. Trading is trading, and we're in the fade trade market. Could we sell it and reload it down to 26? Maybe. But if they announce something, you're going to miss out on that as well. So I think I'd be more inclined to add on dips. If it went back like to the 25, 26 area, I'd probably add a little bit more to it. Like I said, I only put about 1% of my portfolio into it, so it wasn't very much. So if it was to come back on dips, I maybe add a little bit more. But it's fun to be right. So, thanks for all the nice messages.
A couple quick things here. So on the CNBC report, they cited 3 sources, which in my opinion, somebody that came from a news background, that's like 3 sources is a lot. 3 sources saying that they could do something with alternative assets, including crypto and Bitcoin. Now, when you're in a newsroom, and I'm not speaking specifically about CNBC here, I'm speaking just generally about a newsroom, you can do some things where if you have reason to believe that something could happen, like you have a picture of Michael Saylor and Ryan Cohen, you can sometimes nudge people to say things. So that is just sort of like my little warning here on this. Right, Dennis? But again, I'm
let's
just
be honest.
Generally.
Yeah, like I wasn't the only one looking at that pic. I mean, it was fairly obvious
out there. It was very obvious.
Yeah, it's out there. The pic was it was published on Ryan Cohen's Twitter feed, so I'm not the only one looking at that. So if you read, not even between the lines, just read the lines, you'd come up with probably a similar thesis that I did.
Exactly.
All trading sometimes is like I talked about this, yesterday. Headline anticipation is a serious strategy of mine. Anticipating if a company is going to miss earnings, anticipating that there's going to be a run up into earnings, anticipating, that potentially there may be a headline coming with GME and Bitcoin because he posted a pic with Michael Saylor. Headline anticipation can make a lot of money with that strategy. I know a lot of people say ignore the headlines. If you are a trader and you're ignoring the headlines, you're missing so many trading opportunities. So many, like numerous trading opportunities. It's probably my best strategy, headline anticipation. So, and to the chat's point, do you ring the register on it like this? You could. I mean, maybe there's nothing to it. Maybe the picture was nothing. Maybe CNBC's 3 sources were just looking at the same picture that I was. And it's a good idea to ring the register. I think if you were overweighted and you really loaded it up yesterday, taking some off is probably prudent. I wasn't overweighted. I wasn't heavily. It was a normal size position for me. So, my thesis is still there. I'm sticking with it. But, if you want to ring the register and take a quick 8-9%, I won't argue with you.
Bravo. Did you see Peter Schiff's response to this report, Dennis, by chance?
Yeah, I actually did. I don't know if you show it or not.
He called it a quote Hail Mary, and I whatever about this thesis, I don't necessarily have perspective about this thesis, but I was a little disgruntled with Peter Schiff calling it a Hail Mary. I get why he called it that. However, I mean, when GME was going crazy a few years ago, this was something that people talked about. They could do something in Bitcoin. So I don't know if this is exactly a Hail Mary. That makes me think of some desperation, and I don't know.
It's a very Brent, great point.
Yeah.
There's a very it's very to say it's a Hail Mary is like we're gonna die here, and if we don't do something, we're dead. They got what I said yesterday, $10 in cash. They're not dying, folks. Sorry.
To your point, exactly.
GMEQ is off the table. The retail traders took it off the table because they gave them so much money in the way of offerings. So, I mean, they have no debt. They have like a little smidgen of debt. They have over $4 billion in cash when you even net out the debt. And I mean, that adds up to almost $10 a share in cash. So, I mean, the floor, it's like a SPAC. It's like a SPAC trading at $28 with $10 in cash, but better than a SPAC because it has a brand, a well-recognized brand, a brand recognized around the world now, which we argued yesterday because of the whole GameStop saga that happened a few years ago. So this is a very well-known company. So, I mean, if they can brand and use this brand in the form of crypto, I think that there's an opportunity here still. So, I mean, long term, who knows? It could end up going back to $10. Maybe they fail. GameStop has failed before, but Ryan Cohen's done a pretty good job with businesses as well. So I don't think it's crazy to bet on him here. So,
well said.
Anyways, that's where we're at on the GME for me.
Dennis, put you on the spot here a little bit. Any quick like technical levels to watch out for above?
On GME, I don't think this is trading technically at all now. It's trading off headlines. So, I mean, if it would get back up to 31, 32, that would be a big move. If it went up to 31, 32 again here, maybe you ring the register on some because you do have a resistance all up at 32, 33. If you were really fast last night, selling at 31 and 31 and a half, congratulations. I mean, maybe you just rebuy, you just scalp yourself, an extra 3 points. There is that possibility. They're saying in the chat could do a secondary. EKS, absolutely. I said that yesterday, even in my thesis. I mean, they've been doing secondaries to raise more money to potentially buy more Bitcoin. I mean, that's what Michael Saylor does with strategy all the time. So, I mean, that's always a possibility here too. So, I mean, I think if you're a trader, I think you're selling it. I think if you're an investor and you believe in the thesis, I think you're holding it. So you ask yourself what you are, and that'll dictate what you do.
Do you think that if GameStop announced an offering, it would be an immediate move lower? Do you think
yeah, for sure. We have precedence here for sure. They announce another offering, the stock could go down, like if they announce it, and that's possible because they've done it multiple times. They're raising cash for a reason here, folks, and we still haven't heard the reason yet. And now we hear it's going to be something to do with Bitcoin potentially. Sounds pretty cool. So it's got a cool story going for it. So I don't want to have no shares. But, if I was overloaded, maybe you lighten up into this. I wasn't overloaded. So that's where I'm at on my GME.
Good perspective. All right, Dennis, let's jump China. Yeah, let's go to China. You were excited about talking China this morning. A lot of price action. We kind of dug around a little bit. We found that Chinese President Xi will be holding a symposium related to private business. Jack Ma and Pony Ma will be headlining. And you were pretty convinced that a lot of Chinese stocks were moving on this. Do you go to Baba right away?
Yeah, for sure. Especially when Jack Ma is going to headline it and you see Baba. We can bring that up here. I got to remember to do my charts. Yell at me if I don't because I'm not used to doing that.
Okay.
Baba obviously trading up 126.76. It's been an incredible move for Baba, folks. I have an oversized position in this one. I haven't sold a share yet. I'm starting to think like this may be the time to like take half off the table because let's give it some perspective here and we'll just go like this. And go out. I have to learn how to use these charts because I don't normally use them. I mean, here we were back at the beginning of the year. We were $80.
$80.
So literally on Baba, we're talking about in 1 month, you're up, 55%, 60% approaching? It's a big move in a fade trade year. I think I may be getting to a point where it's starting to feel like I should ring the register on a little bit of it. But it's been, again, I want to keep some of this stock because it's ridiculously undervalued. And all of a sudden, China is back in favor. But last time we saw this happen, we were fooled. The stock went from 80 to 118 or 117 and then gave it all back eventually. I did take half off the table and I wish I would have sold it all. So I think it might be prudent to ring the register and maybe take half off the table. Big pop here today again. I mean, we're really overextended here now. Maybe you reload if you get a pullback there. But I think as a trader, the trader in me says I should take a little bit off on this because it's been a really good move. And I still think we're in the fade trade year. I'm not moving away from that. It's going to be a whipsaw year. I don't think it's the year we just go up 25, 30% and stocks are all up 70, 80, 100%. I don't think it's that year again. So I think it's the year where you book profits when you got them.
Do you have any Alibaba in your investing long-term account, Dennis?
Yeah, that's where I have it all.
Oh, okay, interesting. So I mean,
I've been trading Baba too from the long side as well. So clarification here. I have two accounts. I have my long-term investing account. It's got the GME and the Baba in it. And I have a trading account where sometimes, I've been playing Baba from the long side just because when gapping up has been working really well. So I've been making a little bit of money trading it as well. I don't have any Baba shares in there. I typically it's a 24-hour account, meaning I typically am taking overnights where you see overnight moves. I've moved my core strategies from day trading intraday to overnight trading, basically anticipating what could move up overnight, what's got a headline potential, what's, earnings are reporting. I'm often long earnings stocks, ahead of reports, not into the reports, but ahead of them. And I buy those stocks because what I've noticed, and this is, proven with statistics, is that the big moves happen overnight. So a lot of times what I'm trying to do is capture overnight moves. And, in this case of BABA, if you were long it overnight, you're catching a 6% move. You typically don't see those kind of gap ups intraday. You typically don't see as much great moves intraday. You see awesome moves overnight. So I typically, what I do, and sometimes, I might have some swing trades on and maybe I hold a little bit longer, but typically what I do in my day trading overnight account is I have a 24-hour rule where I'm buying stuff, maybe at the close, maybe after hours, and then I typically am getting out of stuff by 10 a.m. So that's short-term trading. And that's,
awesome.
what I tweet out. Those are the statistics that I tweet out every month, and it's fairly consistent. Core strategies in there, I talk about them all the time on the show, being long stocks ahead of reports, being long themes, doing some technicals, looking what closes strong might gap up the next day, looking at turns, playing Tesla from the long side a little bit, in the trading account because it's kind of moved. The sentiment, you can see the sentiment has moved towards it in the last few days since the benchmark upgrade. So Tesla's been gapping up every morning. Well, that's a pattern I try to take advantage of. We talk about these things all the time on the show. That's kind of how I do my trading.
Love it, love it. And just moving along on the China name here. Do you remember, Dennis? We were looking, I forgot already. Do you remember when the symposium is going to be?
Said next week.
Next week. Okay, awesome.
We didn't get a date, I don't think, on it, but next week.
And then, coincidentally, just a little heads up here, a little preview, we are going to be getting a number of China companies reporting their quarterly results next week, including Baidu, Sohu, IQ.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're looking at China, Dennis, you go to Baba right away, but then you usually kind of go right to Baidu. Is that right?
I own those two. I've had those two in the long-term portfolio for a long time. But I added to my BABA this year at 80. So I took it from a normal size position because I had sold some at 110. I rebought the shares that I sold at 81. And so that's why I go to BABA. Baidu I've had for a long time. I'm actually back up in it now. My average cost basis is 91. So I was down in it for a little bit there when we started the year under 80. I was like, man, why didn't I sell that thing when it went to 110? Because it's been coming back down. But I mean, hindsight capital is always 20/20. I go to Baidu just because, one, again, valuation is cheap on this puppy. We've talked about that before as well. Baba and Baidu are big-time AI companies here as well. So, I mean, as much as we've swarmed and probably overbought a lot of the AI companies in the US, that has not been the case in China. They have ignored these companies because of the geopolitical risk.
Sure.
Right now, obviously, the geopolitical risk is going on the back burner because these stocks are starting to get hot. But the valuations are all in the case of Baidu, it's almost stupid cheap. So I can just go, and I don't think you can.
And let me correct me if I'm wrong, Dennis. Yep. Still see your chart. Yep. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dennis. But a few days ago, you were calling Alibaba maybe the cheapest AI play in the world. Is that you still feel that way?
Yeah, still is. Baidu's right there with them. So
Baidu's right there
after running up 20%, listen to this, Brent. After running up 20% in the last month, Baidu's forward PE is still 9. 9.
Wow.
This is a company that's working, on full, like technology with full self-drive, all kinds of other AI applications. They were announced that they're going to be working with Apple too on different applications. It's a very good company. As long as you can believe it all. I mean, sometimes you can't believe everything you come out of China, but it's been a company that's been around a long time. So, I mean, you got to think that, most of this is probably all, real and true. So, I'm going with that thesis that, there isn't something here that, is nefarious or anything like, SMCI. So we got to stick with that. But I mean, the stock is dirt cheap. I haven't sold any Baidu shares and I have a huge position in it too, for the simple reasons I think eventually people start listening. Is it going to be this quarter, Tuesdays? Are they going to disappoint? They've disappointed before. Maybe. But, those are the two stocks that I've been playing the China trades through, FXI.
Nice.
Like, you could just own FXI as well, or KWeb. You get a big chunk of those companies as well, so it's not a bad play. I just don't know if I'm chasing them here, though. It's hard because they've run so far, especially in the case of BABA, which has just run ridiculously. I mean, you're coming at 126, the thing was 80. And again, maybe, I'm selling too soon. Maybe it's going to be 200. And these things can just keep going. We've seen this happen with so many stocks. You think the run's over and then it just continues. So, it's hard to call the tops on. I've always been very good at entries. I've never been great at exiting positions. I often sell too soon.
Sure. Dennis, let's go over to earnings if you're cool with that. But I did just want to preview real quick. I forgot to do it in the intro. Our guest for today in about 15 minutes, 8:35, Tony Pawlawk. He's from Real Life Trading. And I know the chat's going to like this. Tony said that he would be happy to take requests for tickers to go over. So get your tickers ready, chat, and we can do that in about 15 minutes here. I did see we had a little bit of a different order that we went over, Dennis, but I did see a couple people in the chat saying start with Airbnb. Do you feel like starting with that?
I can go wherever the chat wants to take us.
Yeah,
there was 100 earnings reports last night, so there was a lot.
Yeah, let's start with Airbnb. Yes, sir. So sales, I'm seeing a sale. I'm not really seeing a clean earnings figure here, but I do see sales beat 2.5 billion versus a 2.4 billion estimate. Shares this morning trading up about 14%. You see anything in the chart, Dennis, that you especially like or don't like?
Well, I mean, so I'm gonna. You guys, some people are gonna get pissed off when I say stuff like this.
Oh no, Dennis.
Again, I know, people love their technicals, and there are so many traders that sit out here and just like live and die by the chart, like live and die. And there's some great technical traders. Christian Fromhertz, one of the best. Joel Elconin's been one of the best for years. There's some great technical traders. That is not my specialty charts. I can look at a chart and I can kind of say, okay, I can see where support, resistance, trends, but I'm going to teach you right now how I look at charts. I teach charts when I'm doing and I've done, educational seminars at universities for Bright Trading, obviously
this is some premium stuff
for years. I teach charts in 5 seconds. Technical analysis book, I don't have any of them. I teach charts in 5 seconds.
I love
Support,
this.
Resistance, trends, 50% retracement. That's all I use. That's all I need. That's it. No
Dennis,
fancy indicators, nothing else. 5 seconds, you just learn technical analysis. That is 90% of it, folks.
I love it.
Resistance, trends, 50% retracement. Christian Fromhertz loves the moving averages. It's kind of like a 50% retracement. If you have moving averages, sure. I don't use them, but sure. You can go with them. I won't argue against moving averages. You want to throw that in as the 5th thing. It would be number 5 on my list.
I'm glad I asked you,
really
Dennis.
Simple.
Dennis,
you don't need any fancy, indicators, oscillators, all this other stuff. A lot of it is voodoo, folks. A lot of it doesn't work. What
Dennis,
works is looking at price.
You know what? One of the best things that you taught me is
what's that, Brentster?
It's a good quote. It sounds good rolling off the tongue. When the fundamentals are in play, technicals go away.
100%. And then they come back into play once the fundamentals are out, because once you have the report, then you're going to say when it's going up, what level could it go to? People are asking 50% what time frame? On all time frames. So whatever time frame you're looking at, if you're even a day trader, stocks moving, you often see that 50% check back even in the day. So 50% time frame on all time frames. So I'll do your quick technicals on Airbnb. I'm not going to be as good as Christian and Joel on it. I just go to the highs. So you had multiple highs back in 2024 at 170. That's a natural stopping point, I would think. I don't know what this little bar is here. I don't know if that was a bad tick there that day, but it was up, I guess.
Still there.
That day. Yeah, it's there. I don't know what that was.
Right. A lot of volume.
In November. But, you can see. So if I just go out, and I forget to move the chart, so yell at me for that. This is how good I am at charts. I don't even know how to work these charts. That's how much I use
this stuff is revealing, Dennis. I like it. I'm glad I asked you.
We ought to go further than that, maybe. Oh, here we go. Airbnb. Oh, I already have the daily on this one. Go to weekly. Up here, where you had these multiple highs around 170. You got these highs around 170. I mean, that's old resistance. If I could draw a line, that's where I would think about taking profits. It's like that 168, 170 level. Keeping it very simple. My technical analysis is so simple it seems stupid.
I'll ask you then, Dennis. Thank you for doing that technical when it's not necessarily your cup of tea. Did you see anything in this report that you liked or disliked?
No, and I didn't read the Airbnb report. So I just basically look at price. And I'll tell you another thing. I'm not your typical CFA where I'm digging down and crunching the numbers and trying to find out, what's happened in the report. It's all about reaction to me. And then when the reaction, then I might pick my spot on the chart, but I'm kind of just looking at reactions. And it's like bars, was the bar high or low going in? Sometimes I will take earnings shots. There'll actually be long a stock intentionally into a report because I think the bar is really low. Sure. And I think, it's that opportunity to get above it. Let's go to another one here, Moderna, that report last night. I almost took Moderna long into the report, but it was up so much last night that I couldn't bring myself to do it. Anyways, so Moderna.
Mixed report. I see GAAP earnings loss of not a GAAP earnings, GAAP loss of 291 per share. Estimate was a loss of 262. So if that does compare, worse than expected. Sales did beat though, 966 million. Analysts were looking for about 943 million. They did give a little bit of fiscal year 25 guidance, and they reaffirmed that guidance. They're expecting sales in the range of 1.5 to 2.5 billion, $1 billion range there for Moderna's fiscal year 25. Don't know that investors love when you see that big of a range in guidance, and shares are trading down about 5% here this morning.
So I was looking at the chart and I was like, it's a very low bar for Moderna. I think they could get over the low bar. So I bought the close intentionally to take it through earnings, 31.92. And the stock's going up after hours. So here's, the 4 o'clock close. Going up, going up, going up. Ahead of the report. No report. Going up, going up, going up, going up. This thing got up to like over 33 bucks ahead of the report. I don't know what the expected move was here, but I'm like, that's like a pretty good edge. So I'm like, at this point in time, I'm not taking it long in the report. You just gave me too much money ahead of the report.
Sure.
So I actually sold it last night, 32.40, 32.50, 32.60, 32.80, 32.85. I sold multiple times last night, and I'm like, I'm all out. I'm like, you're giving me over $1 ahead of the report when I'm selling 32.85 and 32.90. I'm like, I'm out. So then you don't have to worry about the report either. Like sometimes people are just so excited they give up the edge ahead of time. These are edges, folks. I mean, they're getting bid up an extra $1 ahead of the report. The mark's going to be from 31.92. That's what everybody's talking about. So we get the after hours traders that are so excited after hours. Sometimes they just give you too much. So, and lucky for me, because lo and behold, Moderna finds a way to get under their low bar. So, and the stock tanks. So, I mean, once a dog, always a dog, I guess. The stock has just been an epic disaster. Obviously, all the one-trick pony from the COVID vaxes, and they haven't figured it out yet. They're working on some other stuff, but I don't know. Like, they're burning cash now, too. So the whole situation with Moderna has just turned ugly. The leader to laggard, laggard to leader theme worked pretty well in January for this stock. It was at one point up from 33 up to 45, but then fundamentals start taking over. You can't stay with those laggards too long because eventually they start lagging again. So just keep that in mind as well. Moderna seems like once a dog, hard to get out of the dog house.
I like it. Roku, Dennis, you cool with Roku next?
Wherever you want to go. Lead the way. I got these.
Sweet.
Oh, wait,
I like it. I like it.
It's yelling at me.
ROKU is the symbol.
No, I know the symbol, but it's just, you typed it and I missed the letter. Believe me, I know the Roku symbol.
I was just joking. Yeah. All right, Q4 loss here, 24 cents. Looks like it beat the 41-cent loss estimate. Sales also beating 1.2 billion. Analysts were down under 1.15 billion. They did give a little Q1 sales guidance that looked like in line, like not great to in line, expecting about 1.005 billion. Analysts were about around 1.06 billion. So looks like a beat on the quarter. Guidance not super exciting. Shares up about 14%. They did get a Wells Fargo upgrade here this morning. Do we care about analysts upgrading after an earnings report? Not especially.
Sometimes it's like a mixed report without direction sometimes, but more often than not, you see when the stock's up 13%, there's typical lemming upgrades following. So, keep that in mind too.
So Dennis, what from the story perspective, what is Roku's story here? And I'm asking this because I'm not sure but I was talking with a buddy about this last night, and I asked him for his friend's thesis that he was given, and I wasn't sold on the thesis. Do you think Roku has a story here?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the Roku story obviously is they're a big part of streaming. I've often called them TiVo correctly. When it was 500 and 400 and 300, I was calling them TiVo. But I mean, they've gotten to a point where, and again, we have a number. Oh my God.
We have retail sales data.
Yeah,
Let me get it for you.
Know that. I'm getting picked off. Sold.
Dennis,
like what the
Dennis, I previewed it for you here.
I forgot. You got to remind me of these things.
Oh my gosh, Dennis.
I got picked off.
All right, so let's see. I'm getting the retail sales. We also had our export price index. Retail sales month over month for the month of January down 0.9%. The estimate was for a loss of 0.2%. The control group for retail sales, which is a bit of an adjusted number, down 0.8%. Economists were looking for a gain there, 0.3%. So that might have been your concerning one. And then we did get some import export price index, which can be used as a little bit of a gauge of inflation. Import prices month over month for the month of January up 0.3. Analysts were looking for a 0.4% increase, and export prices month over month up 1.3%. That's a really hot number. Economists were looking for only a 0.3%. What did you get picked off in, Dennis? I'm sorry that I didn't warn you. Now I feel bad.
I had some. I often don't like talking all the little trades that I've got, but there's multiple.
Don't worry about it.
Sold some SPY, sold some. Again, it worked out actually because we popped and then we dropped a little bit there.
Pull up the chart on SPY, please, Dennis.
And TLT popped off, and I had some bonds. So
show us a new chart, SPY, and then go to TLT real quick.
Sure.
Let's see what's going on.
You can see, and we're popping here, but it was TLT that really popped, and this is what hurt me more than anything was this TLT pop because I wasn't ready for that. TLT was actually trading flat, and TLT popped on this. So that's where I got hurt right here, is on the TLT.
It's a cool, I'll just tell you, sorry for your portfolio there, Dennis, but it is a cool thing hearing you on air just going sold. We need more
when you have orders out there and I didn't realize that this was going to be a market moving number here. Shame on me. I mean, I just know at 8:30. You shouldn't have orders out there at 8:30.
Let's just say this was planned, Dennis. We planned this to make a nice little educational moment here for our lovely
sitting out there with news pending. Good way to lose money. So I'll be okay.
Well, I do want to jump back to Roku for a sec.
Sure.
And you said, streaming is kind of the story, but like, hasn't that been the story in Roku for a while? The guy that I was talking to yesterday, his buddy's thesis on Roku was increased ad spend and, some kind of speculation that maybe they could get bought out one day. And I just didn't like that thesis. I think the ad spend thing is kind of lame, and you got to have a sexy story to catch the retail investors here. And then that buyout thing, like the technology that Roku has is out there. Every other streaming platform has that same menu technology. I know. Yeah.
I have not been a fan of the stock forever. The sentiment has turned towards it though recently, so you can't argue with that. But you have multiple highs here too, coming up near $100. So I mean, I don't love the stock. I have never invested in Roku in the long term. I've trash talked it on this show for a number of years. Obviously, I maybe stayed too long in the tooth because the last couple of years it's actually been okay. It made no sense at $200, $300, $400. It made no sense to me whatsoever. That's when I was calling it TiVo, and I said I think eventually the stock collapses. It indeed did, down to $39 in 2022. But it's still burning cash. Like, have they ever made money? I don't know. Did they ever make money? They're losing money here again this quarter. Maybe they did at one point in time. But I mean, I don't know. I'm just not a fan of this stock because they're constant cash burn situation. And to your point, I feel like everybody else has the technology now too. I mean, this was the cool thing to get everybody. Every single TV you buy has streaming technology in it now, smart TVs. Now, again, a lot of that is Roku TVs, but there's a lot of competition here too. This competition in the space is real, folks. So until they come out with something like really like, and again, they're trying their own service. They have a few of their own unique programs. So they're trying to get into that too. They're trying a few things, but I'm just not a fan of the stock. No. So not for me.
I hear you. Dennis, Roku did post some earnings per share figures back at the end of 2021, at the end of 2020 into 2021, heading into 2022, they did start reporting a loss again. So they have made money, just to respond there.
I mean, people are saying somebody should buy them. Why? Why would somebody buy Roku?
I know. I want to understand the thesis.
To me. Like, just because you own it doesn't mean somebody should buy it. So it's got a $12.6 billion market cap. That's not nothing. That's a significant amount of change. Why would Disney need them? Why would anybody really? Why would Netflix need this? Why do they need this?
Disney already has, as far as I know, Disney already has that technology in their streaming.
They all do.
I know.
Yeah, it doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense to me.
If Roku would have, patented that technology a little bit better back in the day, then maybe I'm interested in some kind of, speculative buyout thesis, but not right now. So we do have our guest in the background, awesome. Tony Pawlawk from Real Life Trading. I'm going to run the intro and then we'll bring Tony in here. Here we go. Good morning, Tony. Hey,
what's going on, man?
Not much. Look at your nice little trading space there.
Dude, you gotta have
way better setup than I do.
Give us a quick little tour. What's on the board back there? You got a nice little chart back there?
Yeah, so emotions change perspective very quickly. So I learned years ago, when I'm seeing things clearly, write it down, write your setups down, write your focus down, write your goals down. So that way, when emotions are high, you can go back and be like, oh, yeah, that's right. That's the plan. Stick to the plan, right? And this is what the markets are trying to do. These were your key levels. Follow those levels. Yeah. So it's notes. It's to-do notes. It's call people back.
What's on the to-do list, Tony? Talk about it. What do you got to do today? You have a whole list of – you're running a business here now. So, we're trying to run this pre-market prep business and trying to run a couple other things we're working on here. And I'm like, holy crap, this business stuff. This is a lot harder than stock trading.
Yeah. It's a whole lot of YouTube videos. Yeah, it's a whole lot of content is what it is now. It's
who would have thought?
Go out there and make videos. Who'd have thought, man? Who'd have thought? So it's still luckily it's a lot of trading. So at least I still get to do what I love to do, but it's a lot more helping people out, which honestly is way more fulfilling. So
well said.
I'll take it.
Well said. Yeah. Tony, you had a cool little idea here. Talk about some common problems people face when learning to trade. I love this perspective. And, our audience, we have a range of audience members. We do have beginners, we have intermediate, we have advanced traders. But even an advanced investor and trader can learn from common problems people face when learning to trade. So, give us a couple ideas here. I like it.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this so much because that's all I've been doing is just like, how can I pour more value into people? That's been my mindset, my goal, my focus. And so I was like, hey, let's talk about that. So, I mean, this can be something that's going to apply to everyone. And so I would start with this is understanding that your emotional control is going to drive your results, right? Your results are directly related to your emotional control. So that is true for a beginner. That's true for advanced traders. And so if you understand that piece of concept, if you understand the basics, then the skills by themselves are not necessarily going to get you the consistent results that you're after. This is where people really struggle. And this is, I think, the most frustrating part in trading, especially learning how to trade, is they're like, I paid money for a course. I learned a strategy. I learned what EMAs are. I learned how to read a chart or something, right? You pour a lot of time into it. And you're like, I've been at this for 5 or 6 months, or I've been at this for 2 years. It took me 7. And it's like, I am still not seeing any consistent results. And then you have a couple good days and you're like, yeah, you have a great month. And then within 2 days, you just blow it all up, right? People get so frustrated, I've seen in these markets. And I would tell them, it's like, cool, you've got the skills, you've got the know-how to make money, but that is not what's going to unlock you making money. Now it's how do you overcome your emotions? Yeah. Now it's figuring out, why are you moving your stop so fast? Why are you getting rid of your stop? Why are you chasing this trade? Why do you struggle with so much FOMO? Yeah. Right. And it's not just like overcome. Like I've had a lot of like mentors and teachers that are just like, punish yourself. If you break the rules, just punish yourself. I'm like, that works, but it only works if you're strong. Meaning, if you're having good days, you'll follow your plan. When your emotions step in, your brain's a very powerful thing. When your emotions step in, it doesn't matter that you have to wax your legs if you break your plan. You don't want to lose this money, and then everything goes out the window and you have a big blow up day. The key to overcoming emotions, I found, and what's worked for thousands of people that I've taught, is to figure out the root cause. Figure out why you're having emotions in the first place. A lot of it has to do with just our view of money. Like, money is so precious to us. It's such a, we spend our entire lives, like the majority of our lives, more time than what we spend with our family after this stupid thing we call money. And so, like, to lose a little bit of it is like excruciating, because it's like a waste of life. Your brain's like, this is clearly important to you. Don't lose it. And it causes so many issues when people are trying to learn how to trade, or when people are actually, they've got the skills and they're trying to be successful in trading. That's where I found that separates the people that start making money from everyone else. And it's just that emotion. It's just that emotional control. It's that mindset in trading. And I can keep going on this, but I want to give you guys a second to jump in on your opinion on so far what I've talked about. But
yeah, no, I want to, like, this is so important because people don't talk about psychology. At Bray Trading, and I was there for 25 years, Rob Friesen was one of the best at working with traders with their psychology. Going back and, understanding and sitting with traders and understanding what they're thinking, because it's so important, because your mind is what is making these decisions. And, when you get clouded and you get nervous, you're going to make decisions that you probably shouldn't make. But I mean, I get also that fear of losing money, especially like in my position where I've been trading 25 years and I got a pretty good nest egg. I don't find myself as nervous as I was in the beginning, where, if I get, if I hit on something, I kind of shrug it off and it doesn't bother me that much. Where, it still bothers you. Nobody likes losing. But I mean, I'm not like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to pay the bills. What about the new trader, though, that comes in? They're trying to do this, to make a living off of this. And you've obviously had a lot of people come into real life trading, from, their current job, giving up their current job, giving up their salary, giving up, that comfort of knowing the paycheck's coming next week, to be like, I got to make money right away because I have bills to pay. How do you talk with those people when they get hit and all of a sudden they're like, I don't know if I can pay next month's rent? What about that, Tony? Talk about that.
I went through that myself, and that was the thing that caused me to just crumble. I knew how to trade and I was successful in trading, and quit my job, and all of a sudden it's like, I've got to make $5,000 in 2 weeks. I've got bills to pay. And that changes everything in trading. My mind went, before I quit my job, my brain knew what actually made me successful in trading. It was my setup. I trade when my setup would come. And that might mean not trading for a day, 2, a week, a month, who knows? If I'm not seeing the momentum, if I'm not having my clear setup, I don't trade. It flipped to, I've got to trade right now. The markets are open. I'm pressing buttons right now because I've got
that pressure.
The pressure, right? Everything threw it out the window. And then I started to just steamroll. And then my mind went, now I've got to make $7,000 because I just lost 2. And then myself in. And then it would dig in even more into that mentality of like, I'm going to make my money back, instead of, let me just sit back and see what these markets are doing. Let's figure out where the momentum is. There isn't any momentum here. Let's give it an hour, right? Let's figure out where they want to go and just align myself with where they want to go. I trade with the markets, not against them, right? It's hard enough. Just find the momentum, find the big money, and just jump along the trade, right? Here's the biggest thing. Like, trading is completely rigged, but you get to choose which team to be on. Like, you can choose to be on the winning team every time. You don't have to be on the losing team. And that's what they choose to be on the losing team every time. The markets are going to show their hand. They're going to show where the big money's at. They're going to show where they're trying to go. And all you have to do is just jump on the winning team, jump on that and ride that momentum instead of fighting against it. And so by the way, that right here that I just told you took me like $200,000 to learn. Like, by the time I had just melted everything in life, I finally realized, oh, hey, yeah, maybe I shouldn't trade this mindset. Maybe I should trade this way. So there you guys, saved you $200,000 here this morning.
Expensive lesson, but a lesson nonetheless. So I think you've been hinting at it, I think, Tony. But what do you do, and what do you recommend investors and traders do when that emotion comes into play?
Yeah, it's all about understanding the truth. If your brain has a reason to do something, your emotions are calmed down. Most of the time, emotions, at least in my experience, have come in because of the unknown. There's like, I don't know what to do, or I'm starting to panic, or I don't know what the markets are doing, or everything feels random. I decide to hold on to a big winner, and then it cuts and reverses and I lose. And then I'm like, I want to cut, and then it's a big winner. Everything feels like a guess. And so the answer to that is replace it all with truth. If you can understand price action, you're going to increase your probabilities of where these markets are going. And so you're having a reason of why you're holding, or you're having a reason of why you're cutting. When it breaks certain levels, when it breaks sentiment, I'm like, I'm out. I'll take my profits, or I'm going to cut my losses because this isn't doing what I want it to do. I have a reason of why I'm doing it. So putting in truth behind that is really powerful to help you to overcome those emotions. And for me, I had to figure out the truth of, again, what has made me money and what is going to make me money right now. It's not, it's probably not making money today, right? Being okay not making money today or this week, even though I have bills due tomorrow or I have bills due next week. And that just comes in, set yourself up for success. Have money set aside. If you're going to trade full time, have money set aside so it can pay your bills, so that you're not forced to trade, so that you can just go, all right, like, I'm going to sit back. I'm going to wait for the best things. Cause it's, what's better than, not making money, not losing money.
It is. That's a good point. That's a great quote right there. Write that one down, Brad.
I know, right?
It's so true. Cause losing money sucks, Tony.
It's hard. And that's this is the biggest thing too, that changed things for me and for my students. Okay. So I meet with people for like 8 hours every single day. This is one of the biggest things they struggle with, is this truth. Again, it's just misconceptions of truth. You have to avoid losing. Losing is what is making you fail at trading. And I say, no, losing is not in your control. No matter what I do, I can't make the markets go up or down right now. So you're trying to base yourself off of something that you have absolutely zero control over. And that's what's driving emotions. Because again, it's that unknown. It's that lack of control. It's, I don't know why I'm doing this. And your brain is just running in circles. Your brain's trying to protect its money, but there's nothing it can do to make a trade win. And so your brain goes, do not lose on trades. If you don't lose on trades, you'll be successful. Yeah. And I help change people towards the idea of, if you lose small, you'll be successful. If you win big, you'll be successful. So I don't have to not lose anymore. I just need to control how much money I end up losing. So on my losing trades, if I lose $100, and on my winning trades, I make $300 or $400, and I have a 50% win rate.
There you go.
Successful trader.
There you go.
So that's 100%. I just want to add to that, and then we're going to do some ticker time with Tony.
Yeah.
I just want to add to that point because, and we can keep Tony through a little bit longer here because we like Tony and we like real life trading. It's all about discipline. It's all about cutting those losers. If I look at my daily performance, I have dozens of losers every single day. So many, man. Like, you'd look at me and like, holy crap, that's a lot of losers. And I get losers in the long-term portfolio, and people make fun of me. AMD, I was convicted, I really thought it was going to go. I've started cutting it. You know why? Because it's not working. My price is telling me it's not working. Maybe I sold the bottom. Maybe it's coming back. But the biggest error that so many people make is the unwillingness to sell at a loss. This is how what defines you as a trader. It's what Tony's talking about. It's not about what you make on your winning trades. It's all about what you lose on your losing trades. And if you're holding your losers and selling your winners, inevitably, I've said this before, you will end up with a portfolio of losers, and you will lose in the long run in the trading game. You have to absolutely admit when you're wrong and cut your losses. It's okay to be wrong. It's not okay to stay wrong.
Yeah, 100%. It's funny because people trade with me every single day live, and they come in, they have this perception of like, oh, Tony's, he never lose. He's such a successful trader. And then when I start losing, same thing. They're like, what? I'm like, yeah, this is trading, guys. But the difference is, look, I'm losing $100 when I'm wrong, or $300 when I'm wrong, and I'm making 1,000 when I'm right. And it's like, I can be wrong all day, right? It's
wrong a long time if you're only losing $100 a shot.
Sometimes
they go bigger. Like, I trade overnight, and sometimes it's just like, oh, I'm hammered on that. And I mean, you had an overnight position, it gapped against you. You were trying to lose 100 or 200 or $1,000, and you're losing $5,000, and you're like, bleh. But I mean, what are you going to do? Sometimes it happens. Overnight moves happen. I mean, that's the risk of being an overnight trader as opposed to a purely intraday trader. But I mean, even during the day, you know, you have whipsaw, Trump bumps, dumps. Sometimes, you know, another point that I want to make with you here is a lot of people say, well, I was only trying to lose 100, but I'm down 300 now, so I can't sell here. I have to get back to only losing 100. I mean, what do you do in that case where it's just went too far? Do you eat the $300 loss, you know, that you couldn't minimize at 100 and move on?
Yeah. Especially with shares, because shares, that 300 could turn into 1,000 and 3,000, right? That's why I love options, because I control my risk. True. I can only lose what I buy, what I spend on that option, what I can lose. And so that's why it's so easy for me to lose 300. I can risk 1,000, right? I can spend 1,000, which, by the way, I risk about $1,000 on each trade on average of what I do. And so if I'm risking $1,000 on some options, it's very easy for me to lose small on that, because I don't have to have necessarily a stop. If I spend $1,000 on that option, the worst thing that can happen is that I lose 1,000. It can gap down 20% and I still lose 1,000. So I protect myself that way. And when I end up getting out, that option's not, it's not going to be worthless, because there's a lot of time left on it. I set myself up for success. And so that's one of my keys, to be able to lose small, but I still get all that leverage to the upside, right? If it works, I get leverage. If it doesn't, I'm capped at where I can be at. So I use options a lot to set that math up in my favor even more so.
Okay, let's move on to ticker time. The chat wants to hear some tickers and some charts from.
I got a couple good ones
here. Actually,
thank you, Dennis.
You can show my charts here because
okay,
they're already
cool.
still up there. We got a tip, $4.99. So always take, you know, priority when we get the tips on them. SMCI.
Yeah.
This is going to be a tough one here, because this one's a headline stock. Obviously, just reported earnings. I want to get Tony's thoughts here, though. And again, I got to go change the ticker, so I got to go find it here in my last. Here we go. SMCI. Let's go. Tony, SMCI.
SMCI. So whenever you get a ticker, so if you want to kind of zoom out to like a daily, weekly.
Yeah, it's the best to look at those in the longer run.
If you guys are looking at this guy, make sure I'm on there here, the right thing. It rampaged up and the bulls did not hold. So you want to be seeing higher highs, higher lows coming in whenever you get a big bull move. And so even if you zoom out even more, you'll see that big pump up, and then where the bulls should have been, right? I can't draw on the screen here, but $80 is where
you want to show your charts, Tony. If you want to show your charts, we can do that too.
I can share my charts.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, let's do that.
If you hit the,
then he's in control, and I don't have to be chasing him.
Hit the present button at the bottom there, Tony, and then when you pop them up backstage, I'll add them.
Yeah,
present.
Let's.
And you're cool staying on a little. You're cool staying on a little extra with us here.
Let's do it. Yeah,
I like it. All right, cool.
Okay, boom. We got Tony's charts.
Sweet. There we go. So whenever you see a stock ramp, and I'm going to give you the big picture, and I'll zoom back in and let you know what I'm looking at over the next week. This rampaged up, which is fantastic, but now you should have bull demand, right? You should have a lot of bull buyers starting to put in orders to get in. When the bulls start to commit, this is where the bulls need to come in and start putting in a higher low. Well, they tried for quite a while. Man, this is a weekly chart, and then it fell down pretty hard. So where the bulls should have been, they all bailed, and it goes to the next spot. This is where your bulls should have been. They tried and they failed. And so you have that long-term sentiment coming back into play of bulls should have done something and they didn't. And this is on the mind of a lot of people. And so for me, until we start making higher highs, I am not going to lean extremely bullish. And so I'd start putting lines in the sand around like $50 or so. If we start getting strong closures here, that could be changing the story. And then it's waiting to see, do the bulls step back in where they should? So that's the big picture. And if we zoom back in now to something smaller, we can now go, all right, we've made a huge move. This is a very strong move. I love the consolidation. The bulls are stepping in hard. We're getting a little bit of a gap up. But remember, that $50 mark is right in front of us. And that's where I think this is going to try to get to. And hopefully, can you guys see my little squiggly?
I think so, yeah.
Maybe.
Are you drawing right now?
I am.
Yeah, we see your crosshair. Like I see where you're moving here.
Dang, I'm actually drawing with a little chart here too, and it's not showing up.
It's not showing why.
So I'm scribbling all over it, and it's not doing anything.
Because you know why? Because it's showing that. There you are. We got it.
I see it now.
I had to do it from a trading view here, so I'll do that. That's fine. So this $50 mark is a big headwind. It's going to try to get there, and then watch price action there. So it's all about understanding what should happen and seeing if it does is going to help you when you're trading a lot. So bullish up until here makes a lot of sense. And then let me get some of these lines off of here. And then wait and see what it does. But in the meantime, I would think that we probably have some more bulls to go. Just know there's a lot of resistance in the way.
Sure. All right, let's do
one. Go ahead, Brent.
I was gonna say Apple.
Oh man. All right, let's rock and roll.
I know.
Let's go. So over here on Apple, same story. Let's start big and let's go small, and I'll clean up these charts a little bit here. Yeah, that's good. So on Apple, it is making a nice high. We've pulled back down. Again, in my opinion, the bulls really should have been a lot stronger off the support. They didn't even show up once. And now it's kind of hitting its head back into here. So if we can close strong on this weekly chart, weekly chart here, there's a chance that maybe we actually do start seeing some more buyers coming back through. Really, though, this is, and I have to delete this every single time, so I'm sorry. Really, though, this is just, it's very sideways. I would lean more on the bull side on this, but what I like to do is, instead of trying to predict what's going to happen, I like to just give myself a bull scenario and a bear scenario. If the bulls are going to be here, I love this support. Sorry, guys. I got to keep switching back and forth. I love this support around like 235. And so if we're here, we should find some bulls. In the meantime, I expect this to continue to crank until it pulls back. When it does pull back, we should see bulls there. If the bulls fail to defend the 227 to 235 mark and we start getting back below this, I would say that would be a really good indicator that bulls failed, bears are in control, and rips should get met by bear demand if that happens. So picking out your levels, knowing your levels, and then just waiting to see what happens. In the meantime, probably going to continue higher. Now, if we like zoomed in on an hourly time frame, we might be able to get an idea of strength right here on this, but I don't want to spend too much more time on it. But that's what I'd be looking at, is just, this is what should happen. If it breaks here, the opposite is going down.
Okay, top one, Intel, because Intel's just started to show some life here in the last few days. Obviously, catalyst here, Trump talking. It's a Trump stock all of a sudden. Market is jumping on this bandwagon. Stock in a week has went from a stock that's done nothing for 2 months straight. Just went from $20 to almost $25 here in a straight line. Yeah. I am long a little bit of Intel. And I feel like selling into this because I feel like once a dog, always a dog. And I feel like it's going to be more dog tendencies here, meaning I've always been a fan of selling rips on stocks that are in downtrends. This is definitely a stock that's in an overall downtrend, and this is a rip. Now, I kind of biased you a little bit here, Tony, but if you could take away what I just said, what are your unbiased thoughts here?
No, you're exactly right. I'm looking at this the exact same way until the bulls start claiming ground. And again, that ground is huge resistance through here, right? Big time resistance here, big time resistance here. This is going to be the line in the sand. So big rip up, and then everyone's getting their confirmation from moves. You've got to get your confirmation from price action so that you can be in during the move. And I mean, you can get it. I just won't trade the move. Like, this move is not telling me to get in. This move is telling me strength. And so I want to be in during these strength moves as much as possible, which means I'm using this price action to let me know bears are not doing what they should. Bulls are starting to gain something. I'm going to throw something on the table here because I have an edge. If I'm wrong, I lose small. If I'm right, I'm going to win big. And, you know, some type of risk reward will get in here, stop here, target to be appeared. And that's exactly what I would do. I think this is probably going to keep running to 26, 25. We're getting pretty close to it. So it's been a very big week. Let's go to the daily chart. Lots of bull days in a row. It's very rare for a stock to put in 4 or 5 bull days in a row.
Unless you're meta.
Unless you're meta. Then you're looking at more like 10 to 30 in a row.
Right? Oh my gosh. It's crazy.
Yeah. So there are craziness out there, right? You can have a lot of random moves, but for the most part, your probabilities, it's pretty rare for a stock, especially like Intel, for it to really get this extended, which is awesome. But you're coming into a headwind, and right when it's showing up on everyone's radar, they're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm buying this because it's going up so much." That's usually when a pullback's coming. So, in my opinion, yes, we are breaking some trend lines that I've watched here for over a year. So this is pretty strong. I think we're going to keep on going, but don't be shocked at all to see a pullback happening over the next week or two. And everyone that bought up here is getting hosed because this is a profit taking area. Like I said, down here is a place to get in. This is your big resistance level. This is where the big money's taking their profits and getting ready to load back in once everyone that chased is losing their money.
Yeah,
So,
and again, just going with the simple support resistance trends. I love the technical analysis there too, finding where the major resistance is, finding where the support was, and and then talking about where big money's taking profits is where usually you have major resistance at where they've taken profits before.
yeah.
One more, Tony, and then we're obviously getting long in the tooth here for the show. Let's go Coinbase, because Coinbase did report earnings here last night. The earnings were actually, okay. Stock popped, then dropped, then popped, then dropped. It was yo-yoing all over the place last night. But what are your technical thoughts? COIN.
Yes, on Coin. I like Coin at the moment because the bulls have started to show some buying structure. I love the fact that we are getting some closures above this key level right here. This was a very important spot for the bears to step in, and they did. And then almost right away, it gave it right back up within a few trading days. And so that told me that bulls might be stepping in, and it looks like they are. This gap up is really nice. I would have loved a gap up to here, a close for this week. So just a strong weekly candle. It can still happen. You can still close strong, but until I start getting a strong close up above this level, because it has tried up here multiple times and it tried again yesterday. And so far, it's not having the strength to hold. If we can get up above this, then I think it's going to start challenging that 350, 360 mark again. And it could be a pretty good run that looks something like that over the next 5 months or so, maybe faster. But this is your line in the sand. If you're a bull, I would look at 260, 262. If that starts to break, there are a lot of bulls getting excited about this up here, and they're going to have to exit if it starts hitting that. So if you were wanting to short this, I wouldn't short this until it hits that level. But if you are a bull, this is a decent buying spot back in at like 280. And really for me, I want to wait and see I want to let it show me its hand, right? Mm-hmm. Let it get a move up through here. And then I'll start planning, where's my entry at? Where can I start taking advantage of this to give me the best risk reward? Because if I know my target's here, I'd rather get in down here than up here, right? Because if I know my stop has to be there, that's the difference. And so here, I'll show you this real quick on a better visual. If I can get rid of these drawings, there we go. If my stop needs to be here, because that's where the bulls are wrong, in my opinion, and my target's here. If I get in here, I'm at 1-to-1 risk reward. If I get in here, I'm at a 3-to-1 risk reward. And that's the difference. Sure. It's not that much. And that's why professional traders are hitting 2 or 3 times their reward when everyone else is getting 1-to-1. It simply has to do with entry. So that's what I'd be looking at.
Yep. Tony, we're going to let you go here. We're at 9:02, so we kept you on a long time here. We appreciate your time. We appreciate real life trading. Obviously, say hi to Jeremy. I know you talk to him all the time as well. Tony, thanks again for coming on, and we'll get you back on soon.
Yep. See you guys
later, Tony. Great stuff. We love what's going on at Real Life Trading, bringing that real life aspect to trading. Emotions happen. We got to remember that we're all humans trying to do this trading and investing thing. Dennis, let's wrap the show here, but I wanted to give a couple quick previews, just a little heads up. Earnings real quick. Next week, Baidu, Sohu. We are going to get Toll Brothers, a little look into housing. Garmin, that was a favorite, I think, from Mark Chaikin recently. Etsy is going to be reporting next week, Dennis.
Some Etsy. Unity is one that's been on my radar for a long time. Again, my core strategy is being long into reports. So what I'm looking to go long here, maybe even at the Friday close, would be a stock like Unity, be a stock like Carvana, would be stock like Etsy. Like the names, the ones that really get the nice moves, Brentster, the ones that really get the nice moves ahead of the reports, the well-followed names.
Sure.
If you get like, a name like, and I'm just looking at cherry picking. I only have the well-followed names, but if a stock isn't well-followed, it typically doesn't get the run-up because it doesn't get any media coverage. Mm-hmm. The reason these stocks run up is like, look what's reporting next week. People are talking about it. People are getting excited in social media, and that starts a little stir, and it starts people buying. That's the easiest trade. It's the easiest strategy that I've been successful with for so long. It seems like out there, just being long stocks, few days ahead of the reports because people get excited about it, they're talking about it. So in all likelihood, those stocks are going to trend higher. You're not expecting a 10% moves on these things.
Right.
People are greedy. Like I make my living on like 1% moves, 1.5% moves, 2% moves. You do a bunch of those, you're picking up 1% here and 1% there. They add up, folks. That's where you add up. Like people are always like, I need the home run, man. I need to swing for the fences. I want to double my money next week. How can I do that, Dennis? I'm like, you talking to the wrong person. I can tell you how to double your money next week. If you figure out how to double your money next week, hit me on Twitter, because I want to know how to double my money next week too. But I've never been that. I've been, called the base hit trader for a lot of reasons. Is like, I'm always just hitting singles. Like, even when I get a good one on GME, that's still a single because the position sizing was small. It's still a single.
Singles produce.
Singles
Dennis.
win ball games, folks.
There you go.
Singles
win World
games.
Series.
Yeah.
Dennis, guess what? On Monday, no school. The U.S. stock market is closed.
There's no school here ever again in Georgian Bay area here, because all we get is snow. We got another foot last night. So in the last 48 hours, we've had 20, I think they said 23 or 24 inches of snow on top of the 4 or 5 feet we already have. People, like I said, are shoveling off their roofs. I was trying to take roof off, snow off my parents' house because it's a complete mess. My house is brand new, so I'd hope it's going to hold the snow load. I haven't done much with my own. But I mean, this is almost in our area unprecedented here. It's like, it just doesn't stop. It's up the windows now. I mean, like at my parents' house, it's 2/3 the way up the window. So you're standing inside and the window is 2/3 covered because it's 6-7 feet high because it's blown against the house. It's insane.
It is Canada.
But I've never seen it like this. And I've even asking people who have been up here, like I've been coming up to the Georgian Bay area for the last 15 years because we had a cottage up here before. But I've been asking people, like, when's the last time you've seen snow like this? And some people, if you're under 40 or 50 years old, people say never. You talk to the 80-year-old neighbor and he's like, you should have seen it back in the 70s. This is nothing. But maybe he's just not remembering well, because I feel like we got to be coming close to some kind of records or something. Yeah. It is insane. The kids have missed 16. They've had 16 snow days already. It's another one today. So literally they've missed a month of school because of the buses not running. Now, again, sometimes we drive our kids into school because the schools stay open. Yesterday was so much snow, they closed the school. You never hardly see that. Like, don't go on the roads. It's not safe out there. We close the school entirely. That is rare. Wow. Usually it's just buses not running. But it has been absolutely an insane year for snow. I've never seen it like this. It's pretty. My wife says how pretty it is. But when you're out there shoveling it and dealing with it, and you know what? It's pretty for a week. But now we're like 3 months into this, and I'm like, okay, I've had enough. It will not stop. It is relentless. There's my snow rant, folks. Maybe maybe buy the stock SNOW. It's breaking out. Prolonged snow. There's your stock tip of the day.
On Tuesday, because we will be back on Tuesday. We won't be around. U.S. stock market closed on Monday for President's Day. On Tuesday, our guest at 8:35 a.m., Chief Market Analyst at CMC Markets in the UK, Michael Hewson. I don't think he's been on the show for a little while, so we'll get a nice little different perspective from Michael. Let's wrap it up here, Dennis. Good show. Thanks for all the good thoughts. It's been a blast hosting here this week. I always like hosting.
Great job, Brent.
Thank you,
Brent,
sir.
You're so smooth. I love the books in the background. I love, like your commentary. Brent, you're doing a fabulous job here, so we appreciate having you.
I appreciate it back, Dennis. And we'll be back next week, ladies and gentlemen. Everyone have a good weekend. Good luck with your trades out there.